someone in the Discord was saying that you would be at Jace, but you seem to be still in your UK room, no?
No, so I'm traveling on the 18th of April. I think I'll be there around on the 19th. So I think 1 or 2 calls after that should be from the same place. How are you? I heard from Baijan last week that you were enjoying the summer on the beach.
Yeah, it was strange because during the night it was still 1 or 2 degrees, and then during the day only 9 to 12, but in the sun it was perfect. In the UK, the weather now probably is good too, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's much better now.
Yeah, we had 22 or 24 today even, so that was nice. Still a lot of people popping in.
Hey guys, sorry, I'm gonna join in like 1 more minute. Setting up something.
Yeah, fine. Please do.
Vajat, do you see the screen in the live broadcast or not?
I don't.
What do you see?
I see the same page that I was seeing a while ago. I've just clicked on refresh. Okay, now I see it after refresh. So I'm opening it.
Now open the regular Mr. CapFree channel, then go to the live and then click on that video. Do you see us, or because in my OBS I see a black screen?
I see the same page that I was seeing a while ago. I've just clicked on refresh. Okay, now I see it after refresh. So I'm opening it.
Now open the regular Mr. CapFree channel, then go to the live and then click on that
I don't see the video.
Do you see us, or because in my OBS I see a black screen?
Just make sure you're not switching away from that tab or that Chrome window in which the call is open.
No, I don't understand. What? See my screen on the screen, but can you see me live?
One second. Yeah, I can see all 3 of us. Now all 3 of us are gone, so it's like coming and going. Now it's back.
I think it's my internet.
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay guys, I mean look, the one difference I thought I would make is because whenever we have these calls, we do it on like in a separate place, and then I record it and then I have to edit it and then post it. So I thought it might be a good idea to just like broadcast it live on YouTube, unless somebody has a problem.
It's good that we're warned not to say stupid things, and maybe.
Yeah.
I'm actually opening it in my phone, so that I
That might actually be a
can
good idea so
easily
you can
monitor
see
it.
it. Yeah.
The problem is,
Now it's my internet.
Yeah, because the minute I scroll
I
away
have four
to
YouTube
another
four
window, my OBS becomes a black.
I have four extenders for the Wi-Fi, but none of them would work.
Avesh, you were saying?
sorry, hello everyone.
I
1 second, give me 1 second.
Right.
The question is, I have to watch from YouTube and I have to mute it, I guess, and try to speak here in Jitsi. And first of all, sorry for my English.
That's okay, Arash. Nice to have you here. It might be a little bit of a struggle today because this is something completely new that I'm trying. But what I did was, because last week I thought, look, so many people speak about me, like, okay, well, where are the live results? Can we see some results on the Scalping EA? So I thought, okay, it might be a good idea to just live broadcast it so that everybody can just see what is happening on the screen. And then that actually went better than what I expected, because in the end we were talking about all sorts of travels and our childhood memories. And because there was a gentleman from Brazil, and I have been to Brazil many times last year, 6-7 times to Sao Paulo, and he lives in Sao Paulo. So we started talking about Sao Paulo, and then he was in Spain at some point in time, and I had lived in Spain as well at one point in time. So then we started speaking about Spain, and and it was quite a fun interaction with everyone in live chat. So this time around, when I thought, okay, well, we're gonna do the weekly calls anyway, and I normally record it, and then I post it after my editors do a bit of an editing on it. But it might be a good idea to just like plug it in and have a live conversation. But then I also had the thought of, like, look, I mean, there are people who normally come to the call, and I don't know if they're going to be comfortable being in a live stream. And from the very beginning, I mean, do not take me to a court and ask me for royalties on this video call. I don't suppose it's gonna make much anyway.
Let me wish you a good night or a good day. I'm from Portugal, and this 8 hours, 20 hours here. And my first time here. I found the Noshigans on YouTube. Very interested channel. I'm so excited to co-work, and because I'm trying to make something like one expert advisor, and I never I just try using ChatGPT and other things, and nothing good. I found the Hey, I try make with my hands, watching the videos, make all the work for understanding a little more of how to program. I have make all other things on my life, like PHP and MySQL, and I work with some websites, but I never touch on expert advisors or something like that. And I'm here for the first time.
Nice to have you, Nono, on the call. And yeah, from the country of Ronaldo. Nice to have you.
Thank you. I just posted you today on the Discord. I see one video from you talking about the Python integration, and I have tried. I just and want to say to you, because this is my first try. I tried to make something with ChatGPT and integrate with the Noshi, the expert advisor we all have from Scalping. My idea is try to filter with Python code. I make one simple AI to collect data. I can collect the data. I can put the model running on Python, but the results are not very exciting. But I share. If you please can take a look on the Discord, I share the code on I think the sections. Let me coding snippets on coding snippets section. And if I can make something help we all, I think it's good for all.
Yeah, sure. And I think the important thing is that, I mean, you've started doing it in the beginning. Most of the time, it's just shitty output, and gradually it will start to improve, and I'll start to share some of my knowledge on the topic as well. Which I know I see messages on the Discord as well about the fact that I haven't been posting as much stuff as I should have been. But I'm going to visit my brother in April, and there we will hopefully release a couple of more videos. So yeah, let's look forward to that.
The first thing I think is noticeable on the EA on some brokers. I start today searching brokers. I ask for help on the group because I have tried so many, and all each hour profits with spreads and like that's it. I remember one thing Noshigans said: the lowest spread give us best profits. And I sent for email for machines. I try to put a spread filter on the EA, and it works very good on some brokers. When I test with real ticks, the results come from minus to, for example, one account, $1,000, 5 months testing. In real ticks, I without spread filter, I have negative results. With spread, we put on some brokers the spread filter, the results come to 200%.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the area regarding EA is no shenanigans, which is, I think we call him Jay. I call him Baijan. He's my elder brother. So yeah, he's the expert on that topic. I haven't spent that much time on creating, like, writing MQL EA. I think Baijan is the right person to provide more help on that. And as far as like Python and machine learning and stuff is concerned, I think that's where my area of expertise is.
Okay. Thank you for all.
No worry, I'm glad to have you on the call.
No, and just a couple of minutes, guys, while I struggle with the technical side of things, and then I'll properly join the discussion. So I think I understood the question that you had and remind me again if I'm going in the wrong direction. So it is about the requirement of the scalping year, correct?
Yes.
And look, I mean, eventually any scalping EA, and it's not just this one, any scalping EA, just because of the volume that is traded under the scalping EA is high. So if you are paying bigger spreads or bigger commission, then you are paying to the broker a lot more than you should be. And that's the entire point. So I mean, on other strategies, for example, I mean, if you have a longer term strategy where there is one trade which runs for 2 days before it either hits the stop loss or the TP, and then the profit in itself, in terms of the number of pips that you're making on that strategy, is a little higher. So fine if you have to pay 0.2, 0.3 pip more to the broker, while you're on an average making 20 pips, 25 pips. it's a smaller percentage. Now on most scalping years, and not just mine, but most scalping years, if you're looking to make 2.5, 3 pips on an average, and then out of that, if you have to pay 1.2, 1.3 pips to the broker, instead of 0.6, 0.7 pips, then you're paying a lot more to the broker per trade, and this is where the profitability of the EA can actually tip over into the negative territory as well.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
Is the problem not only the pips but also the slippage? I have Mike, if I can share something from me. I working on very many alerts. I have make from one group. I trade crypto. I have make in Python some alerts. I take the information directly from my Bit and Max exchanges. I collect the data in real time. I always analyze the volume and the funding rates and the percentage of price move. Our idea is always when I have, for example, 10% move on any shitcoin, I try to watch 4-hour, 8-hour resistance, and I always look for a big spike volume for entering a short trade in reversal trade. Not work it anytime, you know. But markets move very fast. In most of times, we found very good reversals, at least on crypto world. I trade many times. When I look on your EA, you it's like you give me a idea of liquidity. When you bet the price, once it is this level, the price have tendency to go upper level, and I look here as a liquidity hunter. Is maybe I'm completely wrong of your idea, but it's a market idea of liquidity hunting.
I'll speak first about the scalping year long. So the way that my brain has worked over the last God knows how many years is, I don't look at charts, I don't look at indicators, I don't look at structures, because many people go for patterns. And they go for like, okay,
I not trade patterns.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying generally, people normally go for patterns. That okay, I see this pattern, so maybe this pattern would be good, and I see this happening a lot of times, so I'll try and trade it. Or like you're speaking about liquidity, which is a little bit different than pattern recognition. It is more about seeing what is happening in the market, and this is where I resonate a little bit more. I try to see, okay, what is the market doing currently? And then how would I trade it manually if I were to trade it manually? And then I try to, once I have become a little bit comfortable with trading it manually in a certain way, then I look to automate that thinking process if I can. Now coming back to the scalping year, the idea in my head was extremely simple. I mean, if the market is going in one direction, up or down, whichever direction it's going, when it's moving in one direction, the thought that came to my mind was, what if I bet that it will continue to move in that direction for at least another 2 pips?
Yes.
And in my head, it was like, okay, well, what is the likelihood, or what are the chances that the market is exactly going to turn back from the point where I'm taking the trade, betting that it's going to move another 2 pips? And in my head, I mean, the chances of that was probably almost zero. And then I thought, okay, let me try it and see if whether what I'm thinking logically, if that actually holds in the market as well. So I wrote this here, and this is where, okay, again, the entry criteria can be many, many different ones. So because the strategy is if the price is moving in one direction, I bet that it will continue to move in the same direction by 2 more pips. That's it. That's the strategy. So you can use, for example, for example, you can use, okay, if the price crosses the moving average to the upside, I bet that it will move another 2 pips. Or you can say let me finish. Then you can also say, let's say, if the RSI goes from below 50 to above 50, then I'm saying the momentum is this way. So I bet that it will go another 2 pips. I chose as a coincidence. I mean, I tried different concepts. I chose like, okay, well, if it comes to this high, then I'm betting that it will continue to go above that high for another 2 pips. And this is where the entire trailing stop loss comes in, which is once it has moved another 2 pips in profit, I move the trailing stop loss to break even, and then I start trailing it until it is hit. So this is how the entire thinking, at least in my head, normally works, which is, like taking a shower or sitting on a bed reading a book, an idea pops up. I would write it, I would test it, and by test I mean I would write it, I would run a small back test, and if the back test shows a little bit of promise, then I'll take it into a forward test for 2-3 months to see if it can withhold or it can stand its ground under many different situations. And then if that happens, then I'll take it to a small live account to repeat it for another 3 months. And then eventually it will make it part of my portfolio. So this is how my entire processes work.
First of all, let me thank you for all your explanation. And I understand very well how you think. I'm just when I'm talking, just try to tell you the way you think is aligned in the same way I think, but using other concepts. But the idea is something. When I see the first time your video, I buy the idea. Okay. I look the way you think and think, oh yes, it's a great idea. Because if I don't know, I don't buy the idea. I don't try to write the code by hand and follow the videos religious and try things because makes sense for me. If it's not make sense, I just not buy the idea. It's not by the idea, it's by the idea you have. I think it's a great idea. Let me congratulate you.
Now, look, again, at the end of the day, I probably have gone through 1,000 different ideas before one of them turns out to be a little bit better than the rest. And you're joining the call for the first time, and I think it's going to be very boring for the people who have been here many times before. And this is a special apology to Bart, who has been on the calls with us from the very beginning, like many times. So he has heard this many times over. But one thing which I want to stress is the point that, look, I'm not a guru. I'm not somebody who knows better than others. It's just at some point in time I fell in love with trading, and I was very passionate about it. And the market taught me a lot of tough lessons as well in the beginning, because in the very beginning it looked very easy. When I got introduced, and I was like, look, I mean, and I still remember those feelings of like, holy cow, why isn't everybody rich? This is so simple. Because, like you're sitting on a dinner table with your family at a restaurant, you take a trade, by the end you have finished the dinner and it's time to pay, you have already made, I don't know, $200, $250, and like, well, done. And I remember, I mean, Vajahat would also remember that. I mean, I would call him up, it's like, look, mate, why are you not trading? And I will tell my wife as well, it's like, oh, it's so simple. But then I blew up the account in one day.
And finish. I don't want to take your time. I just remember what you're saying.
And then
when I see the first time one guy is telling, um, oh, I just lose 90K during a Christmas
But
night.
that is
Um,
horrible. I mean, I did not go to that extent. I think at some point in time I lost
but
like,
it's not me. It's
yeah,
also guy. Also, you maybe have know something about Dr. David Paul. Uh, is good. Is dead, unfortunately, but he's the one guy I love. Uh, um, Everything about psychological trading, and I think is the most important thing on
yeah,
this game.
yeah.
Okay, I not want to take my more time on this call. More I see more hands on, more people want to talk. Let me thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you're very welcome, brother. And also, look, again, I post these videos, and if you have seen any of them, I mean, Vajrat keeps saying that I have these monologues, um, and when I started speaking, I speak for a very long period of time. So anyway, so what I was saying was like it looked extremely simple and extremely easy, but then the market thrashed me over, and I did lose a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but let's say, I mean, 4, 5,000 euros, 10,000 euros, something like that. But then I'm very stubborn by nature, so I couldn't take the fact that the market has beaten me. So then I went in with a bit of a vengeance as well, which is no, I'm gonna learn it and I'm gonna beat the market. And then over the next 4 or 5 years, through many ups and downs, I learned a lot of things. But I was trading manually, and eventually I ended up spending a lot of time in front of my screen, and that was not good because I also had a corporate career to take care of, and then also the family time. And from the very beginning, I mean, I'm a lazy person. So anything that is repetitive, I normally would try to look for ways to automate it as much as I possibly can. So then I started looking at options to automate it, and this is when I started getting introduced to MQL, and I learned it from YouTube as well, is like how to automate. Exactly the same way as some people comment on my videos, like, look, I don't know how to code. Like, yeah, 7 years ago, I was exactly in the same position where I had certain ideas and I was trading them manually, but I didn't know how to do it. I mean, how to automate it. And then I started to learn on a need-be basis, and this is what you will see in my channel as well, which is whatever I post, it's a very need-be basis kind of knowledge sharing. That if you want to write this, then this is how you write it. And this is instead of going the direction of posting full MQL lessons, I posted 4 or 5, which are the basic fundamentals of how to do fundamental things in MQL. And there onwards, it's okay, let's start writing EAs because that's going to teach you a lot more. That's going to teach you that if you need to, for example, identify a high or a low and tell it to the machine to identify a high or low, this is how you can do it. Or if you want to, I don't know, create a panel to see your stats on the side, this is, and let me tell you, before, when I was, over the long years that I have traded myself, I never needed a panel. So when I saw the comments about, okay, well, can we create a prop firm version of the scalping EA, I wanted to put a panel up to show the drawdown and everything, but I had no clue how to write a panel. And then I watched a few videos from, I think, Trustful Trading. I saw something on Rene Baquez, and then there is Forex Tree, and then there is a guy who has MQL tutorials. So I looked through all of that to see, it's like, okay, well, is there anything that I can use from what they are teaching? And then I found something that I could use. I picked it up, then used some of the stuff from MQL documentation, then used some of the stuff from, I mean, I took a bit of help from DeepSeek. By the way, ChatGPT is crap. DeepSeek is pretty good. And eventually, I mean, there is a panel. And now I know how to write a panel. So it's more about, look,
Cloud is very good too. I think Cloud is better than DeepSeek for coding.
I haven't tried it, so I mean, somebody also commented.
Take a look.
Yeah, somebody also commented in one of the videos to try that, but I'll definitely try it. But my point is, it's all about what are you trying to achieve? I mean, trading is tough. Trading is very tough. And anybody who comes to trading with an idea of, because it sells a lot on Instagrams and TikToks of the world, you see these small clips of 22 years old who have gone from rags to riches in 3 years by trading. That creates a little bit of a wrong impression. I mean, trading is extremely tough. But if you do manage to learn how to trade manually, at least profitably, why not look to automate according to your own needs? I mean, don't look at, okay, well, no, I have, how do I write this year or that? I think Bard is massively better at MQL coding. He's a data scientist. Pawn is not here today, but he has massively more knowledge than I do on how to write codes. Vajal, for example, he's way into machine learning and stuff. And if you look at the way that I code, it's not that efficient. It is not. But it does what I want it to do. And that's enough for me. I would rather, okay, well, this is what works for me, so I can now spend time on something else. So for example, I mean, this new EA, and this goes back to the story, and again, I'm going to bore people who have been on the calls before, which is, I think 2-3 months ago, Vajat said to me, it's like, we've never traded chaotic markets because I avoid chaotic markets like plague. And his point was like, oh, we've never tried. So I said, okay, fine. There were 3 interest rate decisions on the same day. I don't remember, it was Jan. I think it was Jan. There were 3 interest rate decisions on the same day, US, Euro, and Canadian dollar. And I said, okay, I'll write something very quickly and we'll try to trade that news volatility. So I wrote something, whatever concept that came to my mind at that point in time. I tried it. It was half decent. I didn't lose money, but it required a lot of refinement. And with all the other stuff that I'm doing, I didn't find time to go back to it. But that idea somewhere stuck in my head. And then one of these days I had an idea. It's like, okay, but okay, if I do this, maybe I can trade volatility. So I sat down, wrote a few codes, and then ran a back test. And that's what that video of the new momentum here, which shows the graph going like total crazy.
Talking about liquidity is that I want to catch on this channel I create is volatility alerts. I write the Python code, nothing very crazy, and I connect to the MEX and the Bybit exchanges, and I collect the volatility of the market. It's I call the volatility. I also want to see the funding rates because they move the profits. I don't want to trade one short with negative funding rates, and is one thing I make something about these little things about scalp reversal alerts when the price moves more than 90% and something like this.
And where do you? Because the screen jumped up quite quickly, so I didn't completely follow.
Let me open again. Okay. Is this? Yeah. This happens on 60 minutes time frames and 50 minutes time frames.
But what is it?
Oh, it auto updates all coins they're launched on the Bybit or MEX.
No. Before we go there, what are we looking at? Is that something you have created?
Let me tell you what I would like to look. It's not. I look at first here is the volatility. Okay, I just have the signals.
No,
But
wait, before that, what is this window that I'm seeing? What is Telegram channel or what is it?
is my telegram, all my Telegram channels, is Telegram channels. I have make I have make with Python to collect data from the exchanges and analyze the volatility.
I'm sorry to interrupt, guys.
Yeah.
But I think I'm completely lost. Are we discussing like a potential strategy that like I'm lost. I'm sorry. Can someone catch me?
No. I'm just talking. We are talking about the volatility market, and I'm talking. One thing I have make for myself is when I want to trade volatility and I want to trade the crypto market, I make this for my own analysis. I want to see when the market moves very fast. In most of the cases, I won't watch a reversal.
That's amazing, and also for my own understanding, this somehow relates to the EAs that Jay have shared with us before, right? In a way.
I'm talking. I'm try to relate the concept of volatility with try. I don't know how to do it. Really know, but I would like make something in MTL code for make this try of thing. Analyze the volatility. Try to find one point of liquidity hunting and make a reversal is my idea.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No, which is cool, but I think here probably, and I think you have joined the Discord channel as well, so we can take up the discussion a little bit more there.
Yes.
Because here, with all the people who are here, I think if the discussion stays a little bit outside of literal details, and we can take the concept offline and see if we can do something with that. I think the idea for the discussion here would still remain to be, let's share the stuff with each other on what we are currently working on and those kind of things. But let's come back to questions that people might have for me or Wajahat potentially to answer. Would that make sense to you to take this discussion offline in the Discord channel?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just take too much.
No,
time.
look, I can understand the excitement when I write something or I'm developing something. I get quite excited about it as well, and this is quite evident at my attempt at that Inception style video that I made, because I got a little bit too excited. But let's hear from others as well. Bart, you're very quiet today.
Yeah, it's already middle of the night here, almost. No. Sometimes you know you need to know when you need to shut up, isn't it?
Especially that we're live on YouTube and all.
Yeah, especially that.
I'm actually I was very curious when Wajat shared the machine learning updates a couple of weeks ago maybe, and I'm just wondering, is there any progress? You're still working on it? Like, shall we expect something like to see soon? Is there any updates on that?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm actually traveling to visit Bhaijan, and that will be my vacation time. So I will most definitely release one video and maybe feature in one of his videos in the next 2 weeks. So
Exciting.
good things coming.
Yeah.
Exciting. Looking forward to it, brother.
And probably next call we will attend together, Bhaijan, or how will that work?
Yeah, you're gonna be here on when? Friday? Or you're landing here, right?
No, Saturday I'm landing there. Yeah, so let's see if I can make it in time.
Saturday, what time are you arriving?
I need to check actually. I forgot the time I'm landing.
Oh yeah. Well, I think, look, I mean, if you're here before 5 or 6 in
I'm
the evening, you would have enough time to take a bit of a nap, and then we
yeah,
can do it
most
together.
because I'm flying at 5:30 from here, so it should be, I don't know, maybe I haven't seen the time. I forgot actually I had
Yeah.
seen it. I think I'm landing somewhere in the morning Saturday. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I think a lot of people are quite excited, including myself, wanting to see because in your first video you did impress upon us the fact about that all of the machine learning doesn't have to be that difficult. It's model dot predict and model dot I don't remember now, but it was only two. That the entire concept is the data transformation can happen, and then you just have to feed the machine uh, what you want it to look at and come back with whatever it has learned. And even I myself am quite excited about seeing, okay, well, what next? And I see a lot of comments. But guys, for the benefit of everyone, it's very difficult to catch Vajat. It is very, very difficult to catch him. And the last video was a bet, which was that we had a bet that he is not going to release it before the 28th or within the month of February. And he eventually published his video on the 28th of February. But where I am, it was already the 1st of March. So there is a debate whether or not.
No, but
And
yeah, I do agree on that point that I have gotten myself involved in maybe a lot more things than I should have. As a consequence of which, maybe I haven't been able to take out as much time as I would like to or hope to. But I've done some groundwork on my new video already in terms of how I want to proceed, and mostly it will be about the stuff that we skipped in the first video, which I think like how to calculate the technical indicators, how to directly bring it connected to MetaTrader and bring the data. So some of those things I'm looking to discuss in the next video. In fact, I've created some cheat sheets as well as to simple code that you can just refer to that sheet and start pulling in data, so that then the actual stuff can work. Because if you cannot actually practically calculate, God knows, like 5 6 7 indicators on Excel, so you do need to be able to calculate them using Python, because it just again takes one line of code. So in the first video, the idea was that the machine learning part itself is very simple, and it's just 2 lines of code practically. But then if we want to expedite the process of pulling in data, calculating indicators, etc., it's best to also know how to calculate that using Python. But of course, that's not mandatory. Like if you want to calculate it in Excel, of course, by all means do. That doesn't stop anyone. But I think the logical next step is how do we bring in the data that we had used, let's say, in the last video. So that's where I'm going in the next video.
yeah. And one of the challenges for me would be when he's here, because I want to make it a little bit more dramatic and cinematic, and my creative itch starts to come out. And I think he's going to try and avoid it quite massively. I already have like 4 or 5 concepts for us to be working on while he's here, but he's here only for 2.5 weeks. So let's see how much we can get done. One of them is, of course, for him to continue, and I need to really look. I got him to share his first video because I thought once he has shared the first one, there will be enough pressure by all of the comment section and here and the calls on him to continue. But I think I need to give him a little bit more nuts so that he creates another, and then things can start rolling from there. The second one, of course, is that momentum here that I initially shared a little bit of, and I wasn't quite expecting that much excitement will generate. But that is something that we also need to conclude. And I didn't find much time this week to work on that, but I'm really hoping tomorrow to put a bit more finalization touches on that. And then hopefully, then when he's here to capture the video with all the codes and everything. But guys, it's still I'm not super comfortable with that code myself. Still, And one of the things I think for the people who are here, but when I will post it, I will also try and comment it and make it very clear on YouTube as well. And during these calls, if other people are also watching, it's that my individual process is if I have a concept and I write it, no matter how good it looks in the backtest, I am not going to believe it until I at least see 2 or 3 months of it performing in a demo account in the live market. And by that, I do not mean results. By that, what I mean is whatever I want to see visually, or whatever I see visually in the backtest, I want to see that visually in the forward test. That my concept at least makes sense. That whenever the trades are taken, that they behave in the way that I want them to behave. And if I don't see that happening, I mean, I have thrown away a lot of other years as well. So this might also go in the bin in the end. So I don't know. But of course, whatever I have or whatever I write, I intend to share it with everyone in the form of a video that I have created before as well, with full coding, with full explanation. But I know a lot of people do not want to follow the videos and code it for themselves, so I will put it in the store as well. But with a huge warning that I haven't tested it. Backtests do not mean anything. I think I made a video on that as well, which is backtests are good for two things. One, of course, to visually see that your codes are doing what they were supposed to be doing, that there are no bugs, and we'll come to Shinji. And secondly, they are only a good indication that there is, or that this concept is worth investing a little bit more time in. So I think what I've written and what I see in the backtest, and also I don't run the backtest only like a graph and backtest end results. I like to see it visually. And if it visually it makes sense to me, or it looks like, okay, well, this was my concept, and I'm seeing it in action, then I will take it to forward test. And during the forward test, before even the forward test, there is a period of 2-3 weeks where I'll put it into a live environment, but then I'll monitor the trades very, very closely to see whether or not they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And most of the time they wouldn't. So then you have to tweak here, there, everywhere. So I'm going through that phase of still tweaking how I want the EA to look. Taking the trade is very simple. Managing the trade is the tougher part. So that part I'm still tweaking. And this is why, I mean, there is no point for me to share a full-length video of 2.5 hours of coding when I'm still making changes to the codes. But once that is complete, I will definitely share it. But to everyone here and everyone who's listening on YouTube as well, which is treat it with care. Test it at least another 2-3 months and see whether or not you like what you see visually. Results come by themselves in the end. But let's see. I'm hoping that this week, before Vajat arrives here, I at least put the final touches on that momentum here, so we can put it into a forward test while he's still here, because I can use his brain a lot. And then also together to make some videos around once the code is complete. But once again, be very careful. Yeah, Shinji.
That's the question.
Yeah, Arash.
Actually, the prop firm version scalping, I guess it's a huge amount of profit. I mean, it's nearly 70%, I guess, in 4 months. And with that lowest possible drawdown, I guess 8, I think it's very good for prop firm challenges. Do you try it in real one? I mean, the real challenge?
Well, to give you a backstory, Arash, and this again for the people who have listened to it many times before, my sincere apologies that they have to listen to it again. Which is, over the last 6-7 years, I've developed a portfolio of EAs, and Vajat has a few machine learned models that together we use that in a portfolio. Back in the days, at some point in time, back in 2017, 18, I was also listing my portfolio results on MQL. And a lot of people started following it. But at some point in time, some people from Asia got interested, and they approached us to see whether or not we would like to manage some family funds. Long story short, after a few discussions, I ended up managing portfolios for some Chinese families, and then it expanded into other part of Asia and then Middle East as well. So these prop firms style stuff, I don't believe in that at all. I mean, prop firms, for me, their business model is basically they're banking on 95% of the traders, they blow up their account anyway. The remaining 4 or 5% who can consistently make profits, make the requirements and come up with rules every new rules every other day to make it almost impossible for anybody to. They're not looking for profitable or good traders. They're not, no matter how much they say it. They're looking for the participation upfront fee, and that's it. And their entire business model is, and I'm not talking about every one of them, and I don't know them that well, but this is at least what I see. But when I released the scalping year, there were so many questions about can it be applied on prop firms, and initially my answer was no, because of a couple of things. One, the EA requires a very aggressive trailing of the stop loss, and I suppose most of the prop firms would not allow that. And secondly, there are drawdown requirements, very strict drawdown requirements. And let's say if you're using the scalping EA, on an average, if it is making profit, it is making profit, but there is a very tight stop loss. And you can have days when maybe if you're trading it on 7 or 8 different currencies, that maybe you will hit 2 stop losses or 3 stop losses in a day. And then you will exceed that drawdown limit. And the EA is not tailored for that. Now, over the long run, it will recover from it, hopefully. But at least on the prop firm challenge, you will be out. So I thought, no, it's not going to work on that. But then I thought, okay, fine. If I put the drawdown controls of ability to set up that if the drawdown is more than this much in a day or more than this much in a week, because that's where the requirements are normally around. Then, and also include a few other means of trailing the stop loss other than the aggressive stop loss. So I included a trailing on, if I remember correctly, on the last candle, low of the last candle, and the low of the last candle, and or alternatively on an Ichimoku Tenkan-sen line or Kijun-sen line. So there are different ways. So even if your broker or FTMO or whichever prop firm broker doesn't allow an aggressive trailing stop loss, you can trail it in other ways, thereby making it a little bit suitable for prop firms if you want to apply it on that. But I do not believe in prop firm setups. I do not think that they are honest enough. I've heard of FTMO being a little bit decent among all the other sharks, but I wouldn't go myself that way. I would rather, I think what Bart has at some point in time spoken about is, for example, and I always say, look, it takes money to make money. So if you don't have funds of your own, let's say if you have an account size of 2,000 euros, I mean, even if you make 100% profit, you still have 2,000 euros in profit. That's not, I mean, you cannot sustain a living on that. So either you have good enough funds of your own, which I wouldn't recommend anybody to risk. I mean, trading is risky. So unless you have spent 6-8 years in the market, do not trade with massive funds of your own. The other route is the one that I have taken, or the one that happened upon me, is that I traded for a very long time and some people noticed it and I ended up managing somebody else's funds. But this is also something which I always say in these calls, is like none of these investors have ever spoken to me about profits. The discussions are always about risk management, risk, and risk. That's it. And this is one of the biggest contrasts that I see in the retail trading world is, and also in my own YouTube comments, is like every question is about profit. And none about the risks. And what I always say is focus on not losing the money and the profits will come by themselves. At least that's what my learning is. Don't focus on, just focus on, okay, well, what can go wrong, what can go wrong. And for example, this momentum here, and we'll come to you, Nuno. This momentum here, when I'm tweaking it, even though it is in the demo account in a forward test, it is giving me similar sorts of results as it gives in the back test. But the reason I'm not happy is because there are certain situations where I feel it's like, yeah, this can be very risky. And I'm trying to eliminate that. No, can you please hold?
Sorry.
No likes to talk.
I forget.
Yeah, so focus on risks. And then either it is that, so you some people are going to notice it, and then you might end up managing funds for others, pooled funds or asset under management sort of stuff. Or alternatively, there are many other, so for example, on MQL, you have these signals, so people can subscribe to you, and then you can start to make money out of that. Or for example, Bart keeps talking about Darwin X, where you have, like, if you do successful trading, then you can publish your results, and then people start copying, and those kind of subscription-based models to start on. And then slowly and gradually you can build up your own funds, and then you can use your own funds to then generate more money and more profits on top of that. So that would be my advice to anyone who's trying to make it in the world of trading. If you don't have funds of your own, these are the 3 ways that you can achieve it. Yeah, Nuno, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, just want to. You talk about risk management, and the most things, the thing most important I have found on my life, because about losing money is much more easy than win money. Even with my strategies, with my scalping things, I have learned. You talk about 2% per trade. I can tell you, for all people, most time of my trades I use 0.5% trade.
Yeah.
Not even 1%, because I want to have margin. It's crazy, but it's real. Because I trade in crypto, you never know when market goes up 100% in 30 minutes. It's possible. It's very possible. I have tried some other things in my life, like I use Weekender for the liquidity, hunting, many things, and market is just below 100, 200, 300% in 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I agree.
It's just I want to tell you, it's just when people talk about profits, yes, please look about not losing money is much more reasonable than look at be profitable.
Yeah, agree. Shinji?
Yeah, so a couple of things. Arash's question, I'm sure we all agree with Jay's perspective on things. I'll get a little bit more maybe technical in terms of how they approach EA accounts. So, for example, FTMO will they have a rule that says every EA has a 400,000 capital allocation, basically. So if I have a 100,000 account, you have a 200,000 account, someone else has a 100,000 account, that's it. They're not gonna allow any more accounts to go on the EA. Now the problem is, and I'll build on what Jay was explaining about their business model, is they will find a way, and I've seen this with my own eyes, very close friends of mine. I've shared this on the Discord group as well, the community. They will find a way to fail you because, again, like Jay said, they're not looking for the profitable ones. So I've seen crazy things. and you will never be able to validate the feedback that you get, whether yeah, this EA has exceeded the capital allocation or not. But if they see that your EA is actually consistently profitable, you stand no chance. So that's in regards to Arash's question. Going back to when I first raised my hand when Jay was talking about the momentum EA, a couple of comments there, Jay. I again 100% agree with how careful your approach is. My comments are, I think it would be, from my perspective, it would be beneficial to maybe ring fence a couple of people, maybe a small testing team, because it would be more helpful to the community on the longer run. This is from my perspective, to forward test on different settings in order to cut the time of the 3 months where you're forward testing, and then there's another 3 to 6 months where everyone else is testing their own settings. So maybe a trusted bunch, maybe Wajad Bart, like your admins, can also try and forward test. Once you feel it's ready for forward testing, then it can go on forward testing with different settings to kind of save some time, I guess. That's one thing. The second thing was the time. I think is also very important. Maybe a useless comment, but just putting it out there regarding the market condition of the time of the forward test. So I think I have not understood the strategy, to be entirely honest. But if it goes sideways, then maybe testing it now, forward testing it now, it wouldn't be the best thing. So my 2 cents is don't throw it away, because I know that if you don't like what you see, or if you feel like, nah, that's not what I like, you throw it away. So my 2 cents is don't throw it away until we've had the chance, or you've had the chance, to test it on different market conditions to identify whether it works at some point or it just doesn't.
No, very fair point. And when Plata will come to you after, if I can give my 2 cents. No, I agree with you, Shenji, that look, my own criteria for what I use or don't use and promote and don't promote into the portfolio are very strict, because they have to be very strict. Otherwise, I would have the Chinese knocking on my door. And you don't want Chinese to be knocking on your door.
No one wants that.
Yeah, nobody wants that. But and yeah, I agree. In terms of, look, also recently, for example, I also thought, and once again, I'll blab on a little bit on this, is what was my idea behind the entire YouTube channel, besides becoming famous, of course, and my own cinematic itch to take out it on the world, was I learned from a lot of people on the internet. So I thought, okay, fine, it's time for me to also return what I have taken from others. But basically, the idea for me was to inspire the journey of automation. And in that regard, and even though now my channel is becoming a marketplace for EAs, it is becoming a competitor for MQL marketplace. It's small, but it is going in that direction, where everyone is looking for, like, when is the next EA coming in? But what for example, last week I posted, because I look at many YouTube videos where there's like 2 million views, 4 million views, and tons of comments underneath how people are using it to good results. And then my brain went, oh, well, let's code it, let's automate it. So for example, that Forex Signal TV strategy, which is like 2.5 million views, like, okay, fine, let's automate it exactly the way that he says it, and let's see what happens. Now, I personally haven't tested it, but the course can still be very helpful in terms of taking a learning, or it's a good practice. So on how to even take concepts from others and automate it. So from that perspective, even if I'm not personally happy with my own creation as much as to promote it into live trading or into my portfolio, it would still be worth, because again, it has a lot more concepts that I've added. For example, last time in the call I was speaking with Wajahat on this, because he keeps talking to me about some way to identify the trend in the market. Say, for example, for the scalping EA as well, I keep saying the same thing, which is it requires very tight spreads, it requires high momentum in the market and trending pairs, and of course the ability to trail the stop loss very close to the price. But then, and also if you have looked at some of the videos and some of the comments that I keep posting, it's like I sometimes move the number of bars that I use to identify the highs and lows to a low number, because I want to trade every new high which is forming in the market or low which is forming in the market. And then there are times when I move it to a higher value because I don't want to trade every high, I only want to trade very established highs. And that is dependent on how strong do I see the momentum in the market and how strong do I see the trend. But this is where Wajahat keeps challenging me in terms of like, look, I mean, can we not come up with a way to actually automate that portion as well? So last time or last 2-3 months, he has been talking to me about this Hurst exponent. And eventually I started looking into that. And in this momentum here that I'm building, I'm also putting in the Hurst exponent to tell me, for example, long story short, and my 15 minutes of blabbing is that even if the EA does not work the way that I want it to work, there are still a lot of good concepts in it, which people can look at and maybe learn from. So I would definitely release the coding of it fully. I mean, currently it is sitting at about 1,000 lines of code. So it's probably going to be a 2.5 hour, 3 hour long video to explain every code. And it is quite complex concepts as well, which will require a lot of explanation. So I do want to have the comfort of, okay, now I think that the code is finished and I'm not going to be making too many tweaks to it anymore. And that would be the right time to then capture the video and because it takes about a week and a half to make those videos. Those are 2.5 hour long videos. Just the cutting and editing and showing the codes and explanation. It takes a long time. But I definitely would share it no matter what. And also I also have some concepts around, I want to continue sharing my own stuff that I have written. But also I'm looking around and I'm seeing there are quite a lot of good concepts. I wouldn't say EAs, I would say there are a lot of good concepts that I would like to try myself as well. So when I'm automating those concepts, I would share those as well, which is, look, I mean, not mine, because one of the things is like the channel, so far I'm sharing my stuff, which is the scalping EA, the RSI EA, the time range EA, and before, if you are coming from no shenanigan, there is the pivot point EA, and then there is a trend line break automation. But those are all my own stuff that I have written over the years and used. But now I'm also thinking, like, why not use what other people have come up with in terms of concept? I mean, at the end of the day, it's knowledge, and if it's freely available, yeah, let's automate it. So if I'm going the direction of using other people's strategies and coding that to just show that, look, you can automate everything. Whatever you can find on the internet, if you like it and you believe in it, why sit in front of the computer and spend your time trading it, and also bring in the emotions and the subjectivity, whether, oh, has it touched that point or has it not touched that point? And also, once 2 stop loss have been hit, it is difficult to take a trade and let it go towards the 3rd stop loss. And automation takes that out as well, because now I am at a point where I don't look at my portfolio or trading during the week at all. Because I know if I look at it on a Wednesday, I'll make changes. It's best to just leave it be. And then only on Saturday and Sunday, I'll sit down and I'll look at the trading that has happened over the last week to see which way the markets are moving and what do I feel as an intuition. And then I'll tweak some settings here and there for the next week. The only time I would do something during the week is when there is something that some crazy shit happens. So for example, last week, or was it last from last week? Yeah, last from last week on Wednesday, when the entire Mr. President tariff shebang started, the market became extremely chaotic. and I don't like chaos, even though I fully understand that chaos is a good time to make money as well. But I just don't like it. It's a personal preference. So I normally turn off everything during that period, but then I'll slowly turn it back on as well, because otherwise, how would I know how are the currents in the river? Because I cannot sit at the banks of the river and know what's happening inside the river. So I need to be in the market. Um, so again, coming back to the point is like, yeah, the automation is, if automation is the way to go, and I think we had one of this long discussion of 2-3 hours a month ago on AI, which is, that is what's coming, and it is coming at a pace that none of us have seen ever in our life with anything else. I mean, world used to work in a certain way before calculators were invented, and then the world worked a different way. Then world worked a different way before computers were invented, and then the world started working a different way. Same for internet. I mean, back in the 1990s, if you didn't know how to operate a computer, you could still survive in the world. Today, you cannot. And in the pace of the AI, in 5 to 10 years' time, either you are on the forefront and abreast that technology, like waving on the crest of it, or will very quickly become very useless and redundant. And I have a lot of other conspiracy theories around that as well, which probably not very useful to discuss here. But in
Actually, I'd like a call on that, like a different call on the conspiracy theories. I'm very interested.
I think one of the best things that I learned, and actually your channel approved that, is about trading style. I think discretionary style of trading versus mechanical rule-based, it's a huge differences between profitable trader or those people that can pass the challenges. I think the automation is the best approach that can beat the feelings. When we have 3 or 4 consecutive losses, we can't control ourselves, I guess, most of us. And automation and rule-based systems can help us to avoid those feelings and those nonsense decisions, I guess.
Yeah. And this I've said before as well on the calls, but because there are so many new people here, I'll say it again. Wajahat and I have very different way that we look at the markets. So my brain automatically, the way it's wired, it's always looking for reversal strategies. So if the price has gone massively in one direction, my brain starts going, well, it has to come back. Wajahat, for example, on the other hand, is more of go with the flow kind of a person, which is, it doesn't matter where the price is, if it's going in that direction, his brain goes like, yeah, but it's going in that direction. And this is where I struggle. Whenever I try to trade manually, I struggle with it because one, I have the habit of revenge trading. And secondly, my brain goes normally, and one of the things, I'll say it again, which is one of the things I've learned in trading is don't trade what you think is logical, trade what your eyes are seeing. And this is where I myself am not that good at it as well, because if my brain starts going, it's like, no, but it should do this now. And the market does not respect shoulds. If it's going, I think there's a famous saying as well, which is, the market can remain insane longer than you can remain liquid. So if it is going in that, and this is why I had to go the route of automation, and this is why I do not look at my trading at all during the week, because I know I will interfere. So one is that, and the second point you touched upon, which is also a very, very important point, which is the best traders that I've seen in my own whatever years that I've spent in trading. It doesn't matter to them what the trade criterias are. You can flip a coin and goes like, okay, well, if it's head, I'll buy, and if it's tail, I'll sell. And they would still somehow be profitable. And it has a lot more to do with the way that they manage their trades and the way they manage their trading, rather than coming up with the best strategies ever. And this is what I see in a lot of contrast in the trading world. It's like there's so much focus on coming up with amazing strategies and amazing entry criteria. There is very little on how do you manage trades. And
Flipper coin is a great scene.
I'm serious. Yeah, and I'm really serious about that. I mean, there is a gentleman that I used to work with a little bit, or at least, I mean, I used to spar with a lot back when I was in Croatia. That gentleman, I mean, and this is why I said a coin toss, because we had a small bet on that, which is like, yeah, okay, well, we'll just, for the next 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll just enter the market on a flip of a coin. And his trading performance didn't change. That was mind-blowing for me.
The hedge of the casino roulette is the 0 number.
Yeah.
And the hedge of not have the green or the red, because that number not have.
Yeah.
And you touch a very sensitive point. The flipper coin is taking a trade. Sorry.
And also one of the things which I saw with that gentleman was, which is his performance would be break-even-ish to slightly going down in profits or slightly going into losses until he hits that one trade. And that would cover for him for the last 2.5 months. And I think we can all relate to that as well. I mean, I have had many of those experiences in the early part of my trading, which is when the traders start to go against us, we start to add more positions to it, hoping that the market, look, I mean, the market has gone down that much, how far can it go? So let's add another one and I'll break even, and then it goes a little bit more against you. And the funny part is 9 out of 10 times you will be right. You will add more positions and the market will come back a little bit, and you will eventually be able to either get out of your positions, or you will eventually even be able to close it in profits. Maybe like 19 times out of 20. But then we have all seen that market where 1 time out of 20 where it just wouldn't come back. And recent examples I can give is, for example, the USD JPY currency pair in all of the year 2023. It's just unidirectional in one direction, never turned back. Before that, when you had the Ukraine-Russia drama unfolding and Euro took a big dip, 3 months after that, there was the UK gas and inflation crisis, energy crisis, and GBP took a huge hit. Before that, in 2020, during the COVID time, the safe havens like Euro, USD, and CHF, they shot up like mad, and the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, they went to the bottom and then also some. And in those situations, you will keep adding positions, hoping that it will come back, and it won't, and your account will be blown. Now, that gentleman would be exactly on the opposite side of you, where for a long period of 6-8 weeks, he would open up a trade, it will go a little bit in profit, and he will add more positions to it, and eventually it will come back, and his profits will be gone, and he will hit, let's say, stop at break even. But that one time when the market goes in one direction unilaterally, I mean, he ends up with like 15 positions in profit, exactly the opposite of what normally happens with the retail traders. So that's some of the learnings. And again, I mean, this is where automation, because I still, after 12, 14 years of my time in the market, I cannot do it manually. When I see profits in the market, I want to take it. And when I see...
I just remember the name I want to tell you before because I forget. Is the trading by psychology is Mr. Tom Hogarth. Um, is a discipline from the Dr. David Ball, and he talks. I'm here you talking, and I'm here the what I have here from Tom Hawkwood. Most time, when you are losing, you want to bet, but you never. But most of profitable traders not bet more when they are winning.
Yeah. So this is where again, because it's the first time that I'm broadcasting it live on YouTube as well, so there are a lot of people listening to this discussion directly, and I haven't seen the comment section because I'm speaking. But this is what I want to impress upon through my own channel. The entire idea is one, look, and this is why I always finish my videos on, guys, be safe and trade safe. Safety is the first and foremost. Just stay in the market long enough, the profits will come to you. Don't chase them. Don't go after those 120%, 140%. Look at what can go wrong. So that's one. And secondly, I have a passion for automation myself. Vajad is smiling in the corner. I'm trying to bring him to also share his automation journeys as well. Hopefully, I mean, when he's here, I also want to speak to him about, he has a few very good data scientists and people who are, and I'll let Vajad speak about it a little bit, who are in the thick of things on AI developments and machine learning worlds. I don't know if we are yet ready to even understand their discussion. And this is why my plea to him is, look, make some more stuff and get us at least to a level where we can then benefit from people who are really into the thick of things. But then let's bring those people into these discussions and try to pick on their brains and see how it can benefit us.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And the reason that I was smiling was that when you were talking about staying in the market, I was thinking about that quote from Batman that you either die a hero or you stay long enough to see yourself become the villain. Here it's actually the opposite. Here you can either die trying to be a hero, like trying to become to make too much profit in a very short period of time, or you can stay long enough to eventually become the hero, like the actual hero. But yeah, so that's why I was smiling because there's a thought going on in my head. But yeah, coming back to your point about AI and the conversation with the data scientists. In fact, to be honest, there's one guy in my workplace that I've been speaking to, and he speaks at a level that even I don't understand. Like I would say that I'm reasonably good at machine learning, but when he starts talking, I say, I mean, okay, where are the subtitles? So it's sort of like that sort of discussion with him. So I agree with Biden's point that maybe once we've had a few calls and first I also try to understand the level that he's at and also the audience in generally with some of the next videos that I'm going to release, we get to a point where we can actually have someone like him on the call. So that would definitely be I think of interest to everyone because as Biden mentioned earlier, I very strongly believe that AI will come and AI will change fundamentally the way that we do things. So it's in everybody's interest to invest their time as far as learning some of the machine learning stuff is concerned. And Biden, was there any other point that I forgot to cover in the response?
No. Look, and two things that comes to my mind is, look, when you are coming here, I don't know if you can somehow convince that gentleman to come with you, and then we'll tie him up and will not let him leave until he has also made a few videos that we can post. But but one of the other things which I want to say is, look, I did that live broadcast of because there is a lot of comments around that, so fine, let's do it. And it shows 60, 70, whatever percentage in the last 4 months. But that's on quite a bit of risk setting. I mean, I think the drawdown is about 8%, which is manageable and okay. But one thing which I would stress upon is like, look, even with my 14 years that I have written over the last 7, 8 years, I don't have every quarter which is profitable. I have quarters which are slightly in losses as well. And just to impress that point once again, I don't care if I don't make money in the market. I care, or I am really offended when I see the losses. I don't like them at all. Uh, Even 2%, 3%, 4% drawdowns for me on larger portfolio. It's like, no, that's where my 90% of my effort is on how can I reduce it even further? How can I reduce it even further? And that comes from many different ways. One is, of course, I try to avoid the chaotic times. But then also I like to diversify as much as I possibly can. So most of my EAs, some of them are trend based, and others are range based, and others are reversal based, and Vajah's machine learning models are black boxes, so nobody knows what they do. They do good stuff, so I'm happy with them. But that's where I mean, if I do have some thoughts in the night before going to bed, is like, okay, if one of his machine learned AI bullshit starts to act up like a crazy person, I have zero clue what they do. So I don't trust them. But they do perform, so happy to use them. But still, with 14 years, 7 years of effort, it's like I don't have every quarter in profit. But I don't have big losses. That's where my entire focus is. I don't want to ever have more than 3 or 4% in a quarter that I've lost. And I don't mean loss from the beginning of the quarter, but let's suppose if it has gone up from that quarter to 2.5%, 3% up, I don't want it to slip back 3 or 4% from that high. So that's where my entire focus is. Which also brings me to the other point. It's like I'm talking 3-4% a month. I'm super happy with on an average with 14 different EAs. So my expectation from the scalping, even though it is showing currently in that account that I separately made just to compare my results with other people, is showing 70%, but that's not how I would trade it. And that's not how I trade it. I wouldn't go for a 70% in 4 months ever, because the more I'm becoming greedy to get more money out of the market, the more market will take back from me. I have to return to the market at least some. So I would take less, but then I'll give back less. If that makes any sense.
It's just a question, please.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. When I make the EA with your code, I put some back testing on RoboForex. Maybe it's a stupid question, but it's a really important question. The first try I have make with 5 bars and 100 bars, okay? The more aggressive. I understand the more conservative 100 bars and 300 bars, because I understand the concept is more conservative and have more probability to make less money but have less drawdown. My question is, when you try to watch the market, or where you look at the market for make the change from more aggressive and less aggressive? I know we are talking here about something about machine learning and incorporate that thing, because I myself I think on that, but let me try to what is your market's most indicator? Is the VIX volatility, is the SP 500? Where do you look for make your decisions and change the volatility bet on your own head?
Yeah. Look, I would say 2 or 3 different things. The first one is I have traded for such a long time that I do have an intuition now of if I see the charts, I don't have to spend that much time on it. I don't believe in indicators and stuff. So it's what I can. My brain always goes from the chart to the trading desks. It's like what is happening behind the chart, which is reflecting on the chart. So do I see extreme amount? Okay, and then there are like big events that happen. During that time, I would scale back on everything. Just as an example that I gave like 2 weeks ago when this entire shebang about tariff started, like yeah, not the time for me to be there. I don't want profits. I don't want losses more. I don't want losses more. But then generally speaking, how I decide on different stuff is within my portfolio, what happens is like, okay, I can see which EA is performing better and which EA is not performing that good. The ones which are not performing that good, I'm gonna reduce the risk levels on that. I'll still leave them on because how would I know when they will start performing again? So I need to keep them on. But I'll reduce the risk on them in many different ways. And I'll give this example of a scalping here because that everybody is familiar with. So when I start to see that it's not performing as I would want it to be performing, I would start either moving up from 5-minute chart to 10, 15-minute chart to 30-minute chart to 1-hour chart. And I would start looking at, okay, well, I don't want to trade every small high. Let's go for only the established ones. And I know from 4 years of using that EA that if I tweak this here, that's what I would expect to see in reality. So it comes from using the EA a lot as well. And this is one of the reasons why I keep saying, like, once you have written it, if you have downloaded it, you have downloaded it, then spend a lot of time to understand it. If you have written it, even better, because then you understand the logic of it. And I keep giving the example of it's like a helicopter. I mean, it can fly, but you still need to know exactly what button does what and when to use those buttons.
It's not near the helicopter, but you buy a drone and you need to fly a drone.
Yeah, so it's like a drone, but you need to understand which button does what.
Yes.
And then when there are extremely windy situations, don't fly the drone because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
But
yes, there's just a little thing I noticed. I don't have only a haze. I noticed in my life when I bet one trade. Let me give you one humble trade. I bet one trade on Solana at $112. Is a very liquidity point. And I put a risky limit order. Why? Because I'm seeing what you tell. I'm seeing what the masses. I want to put my stop loss of my hedges where the masses put the stops.
Mm-hmm.
Is a phrase from Dr. David Paul.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very risky trade, but my stop is absolutely on the entry point.
Yep.
I risk a very small amount of my account. I make 600% on that trade with 25x leverage. Why? I keep the trade running. I take half of my position at 100% profit. But my bet is make 1000% on trade. Is my bet.
Mm-hmm.
I not make 1000. I make 600, but in 500%, I take more 25% of my trade, and I left 25 to try get the 1000. I not get it, but I let the trade run. Just
Yeah.
is simple because when your EA take the trade stop, is impossible losing money.
And the other thing which I
And my
say,
concept is the same.
yeah,
I take my profit at 25%. I move my break in my manual trade. I move my break even to my 25% profit and let trade run.
no,
In
which
my
is a
manual
good
trade.
way of doing it. The other thing which I was hinting upon is one is of course the risk side of things is like forget the profit, look at the risk, profits find their own way. And the second one I would say is diversify. So spread your E across different asset classes as much as you can, as much as it makes sense. And secondly, try and come up with more and more concepts. Because at the end of the day, even with 14 concepts that I have from God knows how many years, at the end of the day, it's like 6 of them make money, 4 of them lose a little bit of money, 4 of them are a slightly break even. But then I'm not dependent on one, so I'm not emotionally that invested into one strategy. So if RSI is not working, fine, yeah, who cares? The scalping worked. But if the scalping isn't working, who cares? I mean, maybe one of the machine learned model worked. So then, and also it's difficult to be emotionally invested in 20 different strategies. So then you are forced to not care that much. And this is one of the things which I would say is like, because I see people chasing that one super profitable EA. I don't think that exists. What exists is strategies that over a long period of time can work. And if they can work over a long period of time, and if you have 6, 8, 10 of them, then at least some of them will work for you. And then when it goes wrong, there will be a balance of things and you're not going to feel the pain that much.
Just sharing the Bitcoin. Sorry. Yes, it's the Bitcoin short. Sorry, because we have lost. Okay, sorry.
No. May I?
Sorry.
No. Wait. Listen. Maybe we suggest that if you want to share a specific mindset or a strategy or something, let's agree that you will share it in the next call, and then you can prepare the stuff, and then we give you like 20-25 minutes where you can talk us through your concepts and stuff, and then we can ask you questions. Sorry. No, just exploring, because I understand we all want to share stuff, but it probably is not that easy to follow if it's haphazard. Maybe one concept, and then you can have 15-20 minutes in the call where you can present your ideas, and then we can all ask questions on that. Otherwise, we're jumping from one concept to another. Would that be a fair way of doing it?
Absolutely. Sorry.
No, look, I understand the excitement, and I understand, because I also want to share a lot of stuff. But it probably is better if it is structured. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. It's my fault in my first call.
No.
So many ideas, and I understand.
No, we're definitely interested in hearing your ideas, because I get all my ideas from other people. Yeah, I get all my ideas from other people.
I'm always a humble person, and I understand absolutely. Sorry.
Can I say something about scalping robot?
Sure.
It's like 4 months, I guess. I'm trying scalping robot, and one of the things that I came to my mind is about I don't want to say it's a idea. It's like a question, an idea, makes it together. when established high or low, you know, for 5 or 100 bars established actually, I think when the price reached that point, for example, we say 1, and we have a stop order, buy or sell, and then because of slippage, sometimes the position opened at, for example, 1.2, not just 1. Then the trailing stop loss calculates based on the 1-2 point price level. So I think if we calculate it based on the real price level, I mean the one, it should be maybe better. I don't know.
Yeah. Now I'll share with you my thoughts. And again, this is one of the things, like if all the codes are there and there are so many people who are attempting it, I'm not the most brilliant person on the planet, so I'm pretty sure that there are better ideas out there. In fact, there is one gentleman who shared an idea with me which sounds extremely good to me. I just need to find time to try it, and then if that makes sense, then maybe demo it. And so I'm extremely happy to hear all the ideas. But let me share with you my thoughts on. So initially, when I wrote this EA, I was also very cautious or concerned about the slippages, especially during news events.
Yeah.
So then I started putting a few filters to say like when not to trade. And then eventually I got to a point where it wasn't even trading during the day because I had put so many filters. So I had to back scale a little. And I eventually ended up with having an RSI filter where I don't want to trade when the market is like here and like here. So when it goes to that, then I don't want to be trading at this point, like so high up in an uptrend. And both the moving averages filter and the RSI filter help me with that. And then I have the news filter, which turns off the trading 30 minutes before, 30 minutes later. So I avoid slippage that way. But where I'm going is there could be, and I did that both. I had the other way of writing that EA where once the EA has identified a point for the high and a low, don't send the order, just store it in a variable. And when the price comes to that point, then look at the spreads and then take the trade if the spreads are okay. So I'm not, or if the price has moved extremely quickly, then don't take the trade. So try and avoid the slippages that way. But what I ended up seeing with that method was then there were execution delays.
Oh.
So yeah, so by the time your EA recognizes that the price has now touched that point, then it runs the code and it sends the order, then it goes to the broker, then the broker accepts it, then it executes it, and by that time I think 2 or 3 seconds have passed. So it was for me a choice between, do I want to already place the orders with the broker so that at least this execution delay is minimized while risking a little bit more on market volatility and slippages a little bit more, or do it this way? And my own personal preferences in the end went to, I'll rather put the orders up. And if they seem to be doing okay, then let them be. Does that answer your question?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
But there are so many ways, and again, going back to it, like when I'm thinking strategies or execution of the strategies, I'm more thinking the dynamics of the market and the dynamics of the orders from me through my EA, my VPS, to the broker, to the exchange office, back to the broker. And then eventually you end up like choosing between the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say it's like, look, if there are other ideas that come to your mind, try them. Maybe one of them works better. I mean, there are people here in the Discord channel, you've seen probably, they post their results as well, and many of them have better results than me.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'm not the most intelligent person. I'm the most persistent one, maybe, at least in the group that we have. And this is one of the things which I also say. It's like, yeah, I mean, and funny enough, these 3 months out of the 3 or 4, I mean, if you go back to No Shenanigan and old ones as well, then there are probably 4 or 5 codes that I've so far shared, out of which RSI one, the RSI Bollinger one, it performed massively better during 2023 and the first half of 2024, much better than any other EA that I have. This year, in the first 3 months, the RSI Bollinger is, in 4 months, is sitting somewhere around 9%, I think, in total, compared to 70% on a scalping. So, and then I'm pretty sure that in the next quarter, maybe the scalping is going to go down to like 4% in a quarter, and maybe the RSI will pick up, or something else will pick up. And at some point in time, I dissociated myself, or at least my brain did, because there's so many of them, that now I cannot, I mean, none of them is my favorite child anymore, in a way. It's like it's a large family, and sometimes this one is doing okay, sometimes that one is doing okay. And as well, with even on the channel, it's like, I mean, the scalping EA, there's so much discussion on that it's starting to become a lot boring for me. It's like, okay, well, let's forget about the scalping. Let's move on to something new now.
Yeah. Now you have a large family.
And I do want to, like, okay, well, and this is where I think the scalping was back in September when I shared it, and then the RSI and time range was somewhere around November, December, and then the prop firm version somewhere it's very slow. And I would rather move on to, and again, it's not like, okay, well, the next year that I'm going to share is going to be the shiniest one, which is going to break the internet and is going to make like 500% prop. No. It's probably yeah, I mean, I would rather that it doesn't lose money. If it makes 3-4% in a month, yeah, happy, very happy, because maybe RSI will lose 1%, this one makes 3%, and on the balance of things, if all of them together can make 6 to 8% on an average, well, that's massive for me.
Yeah, actually very massive. I had this website that showed the result of great hedge funds in Europe and actually all over the world, and for a year, the best performance of 3 of the best of those hedge funds are near 8 or 9%, and I think these numbers are very huge for a month, and yeah.
And look, I mean, I would say, and I think there is a gentleman, I can't remember his name, Anton Krell or something.
Yeah, I know him.
And also last year,
manager.
Last year in Brazil, I had a chance to spend a lot of time with Goldman Sachs. While I was, I mean, on something completely different, but then I also picked up on their brains on how they manage their funds. I mean, if Goldman Sachs makes 50 to 60% a year, Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand the retail traders have leverage.
He was one of the trader on the Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, he was. So if okay, I understand that retail traders have leverage, and leverage for me is just the amplifier. So when you will make losses, it will amplify the losses, and when you make profit, it will amplify the profit. So let's suppose if you are, because okay, you can put 2,000 euros in the account, and you can actually trade like you have 40,000 euros. So So it will amplify your losses. But if Goldman Sachs can make 50 to 60% in a year, like who am I? Yeah.
You're the great one.
I work in insurance.
Yeah.
I'm a broker on Portugal, and I sell aliens and ages and all types of insurance investments on the market. When the companies talk to me, no, I have a great product based 2-3% a year. I just want 3% here. Or kidding?
Yeah, and again, going back to like my Chinese investors, I haven't had ever a conversation with them on profits. And they're extremely strict rules as well that I must abide by, much like prop firms, but it's all related to the management of the diversification and risks. That's where it is. And again, sorry to burst the bubble of people who are looking for the next shiny EA that's going to turn 1,000 euros to 9.5 million euros, like that backtest on the momentum EA shows. Not going to happen. At least in my books, not going to happen. If it could, you would at least know many examples of people who have turned 1,000 euros into multi-millions. I mean, there are people, and I'm not saying that it cannot happen, but it can happen for 1 in 1 million people maybe. You know, like with the YOLO mentality, you go in and you hit upon one extremely profitable one and it changes your life. But if you want to be consistently profitable, if you are looking to make it your profession to be consistently profitable, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I'm seeing in the chats as well, there are comments about martingale strategies. Yeah, perfect. I mean, I understand martingale strategies and graded strategies. They can work. But they will work 19 times out of 20. I mean, they will always. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when they're gonna go bottom up. It's only a question of when. One of the ways to trade martingale strategies in my books, at least, is like if you put 2,000 euros into an account and you apply a grid strategy, but as soon as you have made the initial 2,000 euros in profit, take it out.
Let me tell you, I will be liquidated with martingale strategies.
No, but Vajahat,
no excuses.
Yeah.
It's my fault, and I will be liquidated when I come to martingale because I have shared with people, and martingale, it works, but is very aggressive and not all-time winner.
Look, there will always be a time in the market, maybe it will be 1 year down the road, 2 years down the road, 4 years down the road, when the market will not come back. There will always be a time. And that's when, unless you have an extremely, one of the other ways I can imagine is like, okay, well, you have very strict criteria of, I'm going to close the positions if it hits that much. So some very hard and fast rules. But for example, I mean, Vajat, he says this, and I'm stealing his thunder on that, which is in the casinos, you can impress the girls by saying, it's like, look, I'm going to show you how to make money in casinos. But 19 out of 20 times with the martingale bets, you could make money and impress upon the girl that, oh, look, I mean, I'm a genius. But one of the 20 times, it is going to be bad. And that's the same.
Let me just add one thing to it. It's going to be that time when you take that really special girl with you.
The gambler. I'm the gambler.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in a way, I also understand that. I mean, I was probably at one point in time one of them as well, which is like, okay, look, I mean, financial worlds, they look extremely lucrative. They look extremely shiny. I mean, you see a screenshot, but you don't see that screenshot. You see all the dreams in that screenshot of converting that 5,000 euros into 5 million.
Make 2% per day. I have heard that so many times.
Mate, I make 0.5% a day, and I'm very happy with that. Or less than that. I mean, 4 or 5%, 6. My average is around 5-6% a month. If at initially, and honestly, I mean, I would say this is in the beginning, I actually had higher profits in my portfolio, and I have actually brought it down. I was initially in the first 2 years, I was somewhere averaging around 80% a year, and now I have brought it down to about 50 to 60%, which is extremely counterintuitive. But with that, it's like I didn't like the 5-6% of when it loses, but that has also shrunk down to 3.5-4%. So I would rather shrink the loss. I don't ever want to have three. I have had 2 quarters in a row negative, like full half year in negative. I don't ever want to have 3 quarters in a row. At least my focus is there. I don't know how much it helps people who are either listening to this or will listen to it. But even if that can change one person's mentality on how they approach the market, thinking about it long term, the next 5 years, next 10 years, and not chase the next Lambo, Bugatti bringing trading robot, I would be happy.
The Lambo trading, I have made one time. That's right. And I put only 2% of my account on a very risky trade, and I remember it's on Sunday. It's a crazy shit coin on Bybit, call it Front, and Bitcoin ups 100%, and I not only liquidated by $100.
Yeah,
So
but on the
not
other
like
yeah,
that.
but on the other hand, I mean, in MQL and many other places, I have seen EAs that make 1,000% profit in a year. I have seen them, so I'm not going to question that this cannot happen. Maybe one of the ways could be is like if you really want to YOLO, take your money, get 20 of those EAs, bet your money on all of them in proportion, and then hopefully one of them is going to convert the 1,000 into a million. But it can also be that none of the 20 will. So if you really want to YOLO, you can. But my advice
I
would be
prefer
against it.
bet on Euro Billions.
Guys, we're almost 2 hours in, and I would really love to hear something from Bart before we close, because normally, I mean, in our discussions, it's normally me and Bart and Vajat who are speaking the most. Today, his silence is sort of unnerving in a way.
There is a big difference, Jay. That's because we're only the 3 of us in the call.
Yeah, no, that I
So in
understand.
that sense, that's easy.
Yeah,
Secondly, the thing is, like you repeatedly were saying that you are repeating yourself. That's another thing. I can't keep reacting saying the same things you either. That would be a great
Yep.
discussion then. And
maybe, but from the next call, I will have a few guys as a prop who I pay to react.
yeah, and then I'll just
I guess
then
I guess you have to release a pre-instruction before live to answer the repeatable questions.
and then I'll just click some buttons here to just say what I'm thinking or something. I don't know. But and thirdly, the thing is, I'm just absorbing because I put my brain on pause on a break for several weeks, and I still have some weeks to go. It's so frustrating that I have to do so many things in the business that I can't put my head around this at the moment. So it's a pain because there were some pretty nice things that I was developing, but
Yeah.
It's just not the time at the moment. So
No, I guess, I mean, yeah, just for everybody who's listening for the first time, for their benefit, Bar is also working on a few things on his own, but I think it's a spring in Europe now, so that probably takes away a lot of time, and with his own businesses that he's working on. But some of the stuff that I have shared so far, Bar has taken that and he has decided to work on them, and he has some very had some very interesting concepts that even I'm very interested in hearing and seeing in action. But I think like Vajahat, where I am trying to push him to share more of his stuff as well. I think over the next few weeks, months, at some point in time, I'm really hoping, Bart, to see what you have done with all the stuff.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay, guys, if there are no other comments, questions for either myself, Vajahat, I bid you all a very nice evening.
Thank you so much,
And
everyone.
I will love to hear from you guys. I mean, if there is some feedback after the call as well, either in the Discord channel or on YouTube. Look, again, for me, the idea of these calls is not to discuss specific questions on EAs. Normally, it's between myself, Bart, and there is another gentleman, Pon, and Vajahat, and Sander. And the discussion goes in every direction, from families to ambitions to sometimes even politics that we wouldn't talk about when we are live. But that's what probably Bart is also referring to, which is like the ease is probably not there today, which is natural. But maybe one of the things what we can do, Bart, is we have two separate calls. One where I have the YouTube audience as well, and then one we keep to a smaller, limited group. Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Let me sorry for taking all your time.
No. Very happy to have you here on the call. It's just, I mean, look, we need to keep some sort of a structure. And I know, I mean, I speak a lot, and I speak non-stop. So my apologies if I cut you short on something that you were about to share. But very happy to. I mean, there were in the previous calls there were some gentlemen who have some concepts that they wanted to share with us. One was on COT reports and how to use that. So it was a very nice concept, but very structured. And then we could all hear that gentleman out and his thoughts and ask him questions. I mean, it's learning for everyone, but more if it's in a very structured manner. So I'm very happy to have people come here on the platform and share their ideas. But let's not do it haphazardly. Let's do it structurally. If you would agree with that.
First of all, let me thank you all and I wish you a good night all.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys.
Cheers, guys.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.